Hi, my name is Elzi Thomas, and this is my Sleep and Dreams Outreach project. Most people don't know how important sleep is for your everyday life, and most people also don't know if they're not sleeping correctly, or if they have a problem with their sleeping. So that's exactly what we're going to go over in this video, and I hope that you learn a lot from it. So just to start off, we're gonna talk about the basics of the sleep cycle and rhythm. Everyone has a circadian rhythm, which is a little over 24 hours a day. And it's an internal clock, which tells you when to fall asleep and when to wake up. This just helps your body adjust to this change. Your alertness peaks twice a day, and your sleepiness also peaks twice a day, according to your circadian rhythm. While you're sleeping, there are 4 different stages that you go through. Stages 1 through 3 are non-REM sleep, and the 4th stage is REM, or rapid eye movement sleep, which is a deep sleep in which you would typically dream in. Some of the functions of sleep, although we don't fully know the exact reasons why we need to sleep, there are some answers that we have from various sources that are scientifically supported. So first of all, it's a higher cognitive value. Like it helps with memory, learning, and synaptic plasticity within your brain. And then there are also restorative functions such as maintenance of energy balance, macromolecule building, and metabolic waste removal. Next, we're going to talk about the importance of sleep debt. So first of all, what is sleep debt? Well, actually, the less you sleep, the more you need to sleep. So if you don't sleep enough, you accrue a debt of these hours. So when you have the chance to actually sleep more, you will. But you can only regain so much. So this sleep debt will add up over time and can have long-term poor effects on your health. For example, if I am missing out on 3 hours of sleep every night, if I finally have the weekend and I can sleep in an extra 4 hours, that's great, and it helps take off those, let's say, 12 hours that I needed. I'm still at 8 hours of sleep debt. Drowsiness is red alert. This is the Sleep and Dreams class motto, and it's actually more important than just trying not to fall asleep in class. So if you're drifting in and out of sleep, you're already asleep. So if you're ever drowsy, you need to just go to bed. You need to be on high alert. You don't need to be doing anything that requires full attention or could cause an accident. Many important disasters throughout history have actually been caused by drowsiness. Some of these include the Chernobyl incident, which was concluded to have been caused by human error, exacerbated by long 13-hour shifts, which resulted in drowsiness. One of the largest oil spills in history was caused by a slow reaction time due to fatigue, as the captain had only 2 hours of sleep within a 16-hour shift. And lastly, over 100,000 car crashes a year are caused by drowsiness in the United States alone. And that's not even including all of the ones we don't know about. Next, we're going to talk about some common sleep disorders. The first of which is insomnia, which I think most of us have experienced in some time in our life. It is a symptom which can become a syndrome. So chronic insomnia is when these symptoms of not being able to fall asleep occur more than 3 times a week and over a period of at least 3 months. Short-term insomnia is just insomnia in smaller doses. Like if you're really excited about going somewhere the next day and you can't sleep, or maybe it's just like a one-off thing, maybe like once every few months you can't sleep. About 12 to 15% of people have chronic insomnia. So this is usually characterized by statements like, oh, I keep trying to sleep, or I can't turn off my brain to go to sleep. and people with insomnia actually dread trying to go to bed. The next one we're going to talk about is obstructive sleep apnea, which can have a very poor effect on your health. Makes you very sleepy. And some of the symptoms of this are snoring, ceasing breathing during sleep, being overweight, which is kind of like a feedback loop. So if you're overweight, you're more likely to have sleep apnea. If you have sleep apnea, you're more likely to get overweight. Excessive daytime sleepiness, a narrow palate, actually, a forward jutting neck, a deviated septum, and a sideways smile, which seem cosmetic, but it's actually much more than that. Next, we have parasomnias. We've probably all met a parasomnia at some time in our life, but didn't know exactly how serious this was or that this was even abnormal. So these are people who act out their dreams while they are sleeping. They might sleepwalk or talk. They sometimes have night terrors, which is when they will wake up from nightmares in a panic state. Maybe they'll scream or cry, but they'll be basically paralyzed and they're not going to really react to any outside stimuli, which they usually don't remember this in the morning. Sleep paralysis is also a symptom when you wake up from a dream and you can't move. So parasomnias are typically not aware that they are asleep, obviously, but whenever they wake up, they usually don't know what happened while they were asleep. They may also hurt others or themselves in their sleep, which is also no good. So next is restless leg syndrome, which is a syndrome in which one has the uncontrollable, uncomfortable urge to move the legs, especially at night when one is sleepy. The symptoms are actually quite hard to describe unless one is suffering from it, but people usually will either massage their legs, maybe they have to move around, they don't really feel satisfied until they do move around, and this usually happens at night. Lastly, we have narcolepsy, and the symptoms of narcolepsy actually have a great acronym, and it's CHESS. So the first of which is catatonia, which is whenever you have a strong emotion, specifically laughing in particular, in which if you laugh, your body will think that it is dreaming, and so you will lose the ability to use your muscles, and you will collapse potentially. You can't move your face. It really presents itself in varying degrees of how drastic it can be. Next is hypnagogic and hypnopompic hallucinations, which are whenever, as you're falling asleep, you are halfway in between asleep and awake, and it's the same thing while you're waking up, is having these hallucinations where it seems someone is in your room, it seems something is happening, and it feels like real life because you are in that sense awake, but these hallucinations are part of your dream seeping out into the real world. Next is excessive daytime sleepiness, sleep paralysis, which we've already talked about, and sleep disruption, which is just falling asleep and waking up at various times throughout the night. You don't really sleep well. And you may or may not experience all of these if you have narcolepsy, but catatonia is unique to narcolepsy. So if you have catatonia, you have narcolepsy. Next, we're going to talk about some misconceptions about sleep that people commonly have. The first of which is the phrase wanting to sleep like a baby, which I think everyone has heard. Babies do sleep deeply, which is great. They can sleep through just about anything, but they wake up often and they have very short sleep cycles, which I don't think any of us want. Next is the classic blind people don't dream, which they actually do dream, but they just hear sounds and noise, unless they have been able to see in the past, in which they may see images in their dreams. And the same thing applies to deaf people. They just don't have sounds in their dreams, etc. And then I've also heard we can only dream about familiar things, like we can't reimagine a face or a place. It has to be somewhere that you've already been, which is just not true. Our imagination is just much more powerful than you think. And lastly, we're going to talk about some factors affecting sleep quality. And although there are many, many factors that affect how good your sleep is on a nightly basis, some of these are the amount and intensity of light you experience throughout the day affects the amount of light you can sleep through at night. So if you're usually exposed to a lot of light during the day, you can probably put up with more light at nighttime. And the opposite is true as well. The amount of naps, you might not sleep as well if you've had a lot of naps. Caffeine can make you less sleepy, of course. So that can affect your sleep quality. Excessive time in bed is not good for you when you're awake. So whenever it's time to go to sleep, this might psychologically skew your ability to sleep. And lastly, having the motivation to get out of bed can actually help you get up in the morning. So if you don't have to immediately get up and go to work, if your mornings aren't stressful, if you can do something you like to do in the morning and have that motivation to get out of bed, it will make your sleep better and it will help you get out of bed and not waste that extra time in the morning, which doesn't help. So thank you for watching. Please reach out to me if you have any questions or if you need any more information. And the bottom line is, if you're not having great sleep, if you're not feeling refreshed after sleeping, you should go get a sleep study done and get checked out just to be sure.